Good evening, one and all. We welcome you all to the International Conference on Social Work, Social Sciences, Respecting Diversity, Inclusion, Social Action, and Sustainable Development 2023, commemorating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, nation celebrating 75 years of independence, United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2015 to 2030 as part of awareness and campaigns, International Webinar Series on Holistic Health, Wellbeing, and Sustainable Development 2022-2023, India's G20 Presidency, in collaboration with Sriholistichealthfoundationindia, and Sri Research Institute, Center for Art, Sciences, and Wellbeing, and all the collaborators. We welcome you all once again to the 10th day of 10 Days International Conference. Before we start the proceedings, let's take the blessings of Almighty.
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः.
With the blessings of Almighty, we shall continue with today's sessions. We request all the resource persons and presenters willing to present or awaiting for your presentations to share your details, topic, name, designation, organization, city, state, country in the chat box so that we can invite you. We request everyone to be quick as we have a valedictory session scheduled and it will go as per the time. So as many as possible, we'll quickly take it up as we'll be not having any sessions after valedictory. So we request everyone, whoever is joining, immediately share your details and quickly complete your presentations. And also we request everyone to complete your formalities, then only the certificates are issued. So now you can present. If you haven't yet completed, you can complete it after the conference immediately. So the first presentation we have is from Chaitanya D, Assistant Professor, VVCE, Mysore, Karnataka. She would be presenting on collaborative based learning the concepts and practices used in teaching.
Very good evening, sir.
Yeah, you can unmute yourself, start your video, and also.
Okay, sir. Sir, is my screen visible for you, sir?
Yes, ma'am, this time.
Very good evening. My topic is on collaborative based learning, the concepts and practices which has been used in teaching. The collaborative based learning, it's nothing but the cooperative based learning. What and all the concepts which we are going to involve in teaching, it will be impacted. The main coming to the main abstract is collaborative is nothing but communication as well as the collaboration. Mainly, it is going to focus to prepare students, because for example the students, instead of teaching them by the normal methods, we are going to inculcate these methods, that is a collaborative based learning, because it's highly required by student, because to provide themselves which has been ability to work effectively. The main agenda or the main objective of this collaborative based learning is nothing but to cooperate among themselves, because for example the students will be given a certain task. They will be completing that particular task in a group. They are going to share their thoughts in a small group, and also the characteristics as well as the principles of each activity will be presented. Next, in the introduction part, the students, they are going to receive the training, like for example, by conducting these activities, they're going to improve their leadership, a good attitude, they're going to think creatively, and also many models will be played in this. This collaborative based learning, it comes under the category of total students development program. For example, the total students development programs, many other activities which comes under this program. In that, the collaborative based learning, it's one of the part. This activity mainly, it's going to help the students to remain concentrated on the certain topic, to learn in a new as well as in a new dynamic way. They are going to learn, and also it's going to learn in a new method, because the old traditional methods, which is likely to be very bored or lose interest in the topic. Therefore, to increase the interest in the topic, this collaborative learning, it's going to help the student. Coming to the main objective of the activity is, here the student is going to perform in a group wise. The small group, it's accomplished a group of 3 to 6 members, and also they are going to play a team roles, and also they are going to implement a clear ground, and certain rules will be there before conducting of any activity, and also we are going to follow the certain rubrics will be there, and also they're going to list the team's assets and the strong points, and also they're going to recognize and reduce the team's possible weakness, and also they're going to share their ideas in a group wise, and also they're going to, it's by sharing these ideas and also by sharing their knowledge, it's going to communicate clearly, and also it's going to improve their listening, and as well as the comprehensive skill, and also the main strategies for the team's execution of the given task will be completed, and also they are going to complete the task within given time. These are all the main objectives of the activities. So under the student collaborative based learning, it comes, the first category it comes under, this is a problem solving activity. The problem solving activity, it's a team based solving activity. For example, the certain in a certain subject, for example, I'll be in EC, I'm a EC branch faculty. The network analysis control systems, these are all the faculty, these are all the main problem, the main difficult problems they are going to solve in the particular subject. By conducting this activity, the students, they'll be interacting about themselves, they're going to solve an issue, and then also their work on that particular problem solving, and also by conducting this particular activity, it's going to improve their problem solving abilities, as well as if they're going to learn through motivation, they will be excited to learn the course. These are all the advantages which comes under the category of problem solving activity. And also, by conducting the activity of the collaborative based learning, the faster learning techniques they will be learning. For example, if I give the certain problem, they're going to learn through a different methods. They're going to improve their problem solving ability. Problem solving skills will be improved. Next is the team identity. Team identity comes under the category. It's a new teaching method. It's team identity. It's nothing but it's an experiential learning, and it's a teaching method. It's going to enable each individual to improve the student engagement, and also the standard of students will be improved. So the team wise, they are going to learn the activity. For example, certain topics will be allocated to the students. Based on the topic, there will be discussion among themselves in a team. Finally, they are going to tell regarding the topics. Next is the case study. As we know, case study is nothing but the teams will be given, certain teams will be given a case study, and each team will be allocated, different topics will be allocated. Finally, they are going to study regarding a particular topic in a depth way, or they're in an excited way. Finally, they are going to reproduce the solution to the issue. Next is a pro and con grid. Pro and con grid is nothing but, for example, the students will be allocated a certain topic. Pro and con grid, it's nothing but advantages as well as disadvantages of certain tasks. For example, EC, it's a core branch. A certain topic will be allocated to the students. The students will be telling, the one set of group of students will be telling regarding the advantages, and another set of students will be telling regarding the disadvantages method. They'll be listing, they'll be learning the both advantages as well as the disadvantages, which is associated with an important topic from their view of the presentation and their view of angles. And also, by conducting this particular activity, it's going to strengthen their analytical skills as well as the evaluative skills. So these are all the overall response summary of the students. Like, for example, after conduction of each activity, I'll be giving them the Google form for fill the feedback. Here the first question is, did you reach your goal? Yes, the yes answer will be given by is about the maximum student 87.7%, and the no will be given only the 2% of the set of students, and the maybe answer will be given by 11.3% of the student. And the first is a feedback I'll be taking regarding the problem solving activity. And the next is the team identity. It's a good way of consulting with the friends. So here I have received a maximum response from the students, that is about 94.3. Was case study useful? Here the response is about 87.7%. And also the student generated test questions, other activities will be conducted. And as I told you, the pro and con grid, I have conducted the activity in a real time to the students. I have received a response of about positive response of about 93.4%. This is the final feedback analysis. For example, activity 1. So I have received a major response, activity response in problem solving activity. Activity 2, about 2.85. The scaling, the activity 3 is about case study. Activity 4 about the student generated test question. And the activity 5 is nothing but the pro and con grid. Like, after conducting this activity in the class in a regular basis, the main outcome of this activity is they can solve the problems by conducting the activities, problem solving learning, and also they can evaluate the information, they can communicate among effectively, they can understand the certain concepts creatively through discovery, through innovation, and by expressing among themselves. And also, by conducting this activity, it's nothing but it's a lifelong learning process. Thank you for giving your valuable time.
Yeah, congratulations, Dr. Chaitanya.
Thank you, sir.
Participants, if you have any queries, you can raise your hand, or you can share your queries or feedback, observations in chat box, or you can unmute yourself. Okay, if there are no queries, then we move on to our next session. Congratulations, Dr. Chaitanya. Wish you all the success.
Thank you so much, sir.
We request everyone to quickly attend to the poll, which is raised in the form of polls. There is a feedback form raised in the form of polls in Zoom session. Yeah, regarding best paper criteria, as we have already mentioned on the website, there are various award categories under which papers will be selected. But as on-spot registrations are going, and even today paper presentations are going on, so we will not be announcing any awards today. We'll be informing the awards on website, and you can check the list of awards, whoever is eligible and shortlisted. Then you can contact us and we will let you know further details. And the formalities like the quality of the paper and the way presenters are presenting. It includes technical and non-technical aspects like how they are starting their presentation, like starting with gratitude and ending with gratitude. That is the first thing as a human being we see. We always, whenever we visit some place or someone's house or someone's, institution or organization, first we thank them for inviting us or for giving an opportunity. It starts from there till the end of the presentation. Various aspects are considered, like how they are presenting, how fluent they are in their presentation, and the content of the presentation, irrespective of any language, because it's a multi-language, multilingual conference. So language is not a barrier. So all these aspects are included as part of this selection criteria. So everything will be considered, and all the sessions are live on YouTube. You can also go and check whoever gets the best presenter award. You can see the difference, how they are presenting and what all you might have missed. So all these details can also be observed. So we request all the presenters to go through the instructions on the website. If you are aiming for awards, we request everyone to carefully go through the present instructions on website, follow the guidelines, and accordingly make presentations. So now we have with us, and we request all the presenters who are awaiting their presentations to quickly share their details in chat box once they join the session. And also we request everyone to stay back today. You are going to get all the instructions regarding your certificates and all details. So we request everyone, whoever is joining, to stay till the valedictory session is over. Because after this, you will not be able to get any information. Next, we have with us Dr. Meena.
Hi, everybody. Good morning, everybody. I hope you're all doing good, but let me first of all be sure that you can hear me. Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Dr. Meena, please continue.
Okay, excellent. So my name is Dr. Mina, and I'm an associate professor of social work, and I feel completely glad to be here again with you. Thank you so much for the invitation and this opportunity for a very fantastic platform and conference. It has been intellectually stimulating, and it's my hope that people will go back home better than how they came in 10 days ago. I've been on this 10 days ago, and it's been a very, very, very productive time. Today I will be presenting on my topics. I have 3 outstanding topics. I'll be talking depending on how I'm guided, if I should take all at the same time or I'll take all as I'm called. So I'll be speaking on alternative strategies for the creative and peaceful management of projects on the development of the communities in Rivers State. And this is a critical project, to us here. We're looking at, because community development in a lot of ways was compromised in Rivers State, Nigeria, where I'm from, and the home state. And a lot of the times we discovered most of the projects were not sustainable, or even were not, did not take place because of various issues and challenges. So we went into a complete comprehensive research on community processes, and these exactly are the outcomes. So I'll be so honored to speak with you on this. And if you have questions, please feel very, very free to call my attention so that we can go on. My topic again is alternative strategies for the creative and peaceful management of projects on the development of the communities in River State. Now, I have a very interesting outline, the manner in which it is arranged, that's what I mean. I'm going to be talking about the abstract. I'll be looking at the introduction. I'll be looking at objectives, significance of this study, the scope, the definition. I'll be looking strongly at the, suggestions, alternative strategies, and of course the scope. And these are some of the things that I'll be looking at in the course of this conversation for the next few minutes. And it is my hope that I'll be able to tell you at the end of the day if alternative strategies to development processes has also helped in enhancing sustainable livelihood in our communities. Okay, so the abstract. The research was designed to examine alternative strategies for the creative and peaceful management of projects, on the development of communities in River State. And 3 separate communities, for example, Okehi in Eche local government area, Suku in Akukutoru local government, and Afam in Uyugo, these are very distant local communities in local government areas, were selected as case studies, and a total of 150 questionnaires were administered to the 3 communities, and information from the community members were used for data analysis. Now, simple percentages, analysis of variance, and the mean scores were used to analyze the socioeconomic characteristics of the respondents and testing of the formulated hypothesis. So the result at the end of the day observed that the alternative strategies for the creative and peaceful management of projects carried out by cross-sector partners for the purpose of enhancing the development of these communities is the inclusion of implementation, that is participatory monitoring process of the project from plan to finish, management income from various sources, meeting with various stakeholders, effective communication, training at different levels, impact on conflict resolution, planning, and other alternative strategies all enhance this project and made their projects more sustainable. So this is where we are going to be looking at. So in just giving an overview in terms of introduction, cross-sector partnerships are increasingly being seen as a key development approach for the 21st century. So it's clear there used to be a song that one of our great singers used to sing, "No Man is an Island," with so many government and international agencies now viewing them as the most effective way to deal with complex and intractable development problems. They have defeated single sector interventions. We have tried single sector interventions. We have tried top-bottom interventions. They have not worked. So the idea behind this research was to see the different components and impact of cross-sector partnerships, including providing alternatives, to development strategies. So, however, partnerships are not a straightforward option per se. So some see them as merely a phase of policy experimentation for some, donor organization, or some see them as a short-term response to rapid global change. However, where you see it from any point of view, like you're all viewing an elephant, you need one thing became clear from this research, that cross-sector partnerships, mainstreaming the owners, beneficiaries, key beneficiaries, and also partners into a project has in a lot of ways helped to enhance that process. Okay, so let's continue now on the introduction. There can also be issues of accountability and power imbalance. When you have to deal with other people, once you have left yourself to work with others, you have to deal with issues around accountability, power imbalance. And when unelected corporations and NGOs, they have influence in states where governments are weak or failing, also this becomes an issue. So even where they are the best solution, there can be real obstacles in both the development and management of partnerships, which are too easily ignored. So meaning that, yes, you are coming in with a good intention to collaborate, but you must take cognizance of the issues on ground. You must take cognizance of the challenges or potential challenges. That is why a baseline is important to understand the dynamics of that particular local community. So this research draws on the University of Cambridge, my school. That's where I studied on, and that's where we started this project. The research draws on the University of Cambridge Program for Industry, many years experience of partnership work, and in particular on the experiences of those running and participating in the postgraduate certificate in cross-sector partnership course. So the point here is, how do we now ensure that collaboration, we get the best out of collaboration? Okay, now what were the key objectives, of this initiative? A key objective was to suggest alternative strategies for the creative and peaceful management of projects, carried out by cross-sector partners for the purpose of enhancing the development of the communities. And then another thing we need to look at, which we looked at in this research, was to access and explore alternatives to development processes. What are those alternatives to development? Before donors came into the picture, a lot of communities were using indigenous methods and strategies. So we can't throw away those indigenous methods and strategies. You see, we can't leave them out because they have become a part of the entire development process. So a key objective was just to suggest and then to access and explore, alternatives to development processes. So what turned out to be the significance of this study? The study provided a meaningful tool for understanding community development strategies in the Niger Delta. Gone are the days for one-size-fits-all strategies. That is something that we do not want to pursue anymore. It has showed us that is why we move from community development CD to SCD, sustainable community development. We move from there now to SCDC. So we are moving because the world is evolving, and you must, for you to meet up with the present needs of the people, you must understand the dynamics of the context of the current state of things. Now let's look at the a systemic approach in conception and management of community development projects. You see, now the first thing we need to look at here is a systemic understanding of the current situation in a community sets the stage for the community development process. You must all agree with me that the theoretical framework, in case I didn't mention it strongly, the theoretical framework for this project was the systems theory, telling us clearly about how the different parts make up a whole, how different people work together to achieve a particular goal. And now we're looking at the systemic approach now in conception and management of the community development programs. And so the second thing we're going to look at under the systemic approach is the fact that the community development process usually begins with a felt need or a problem and a challenge, to act on that problem, and it's considered only when it affects a significant number of people in the community. So everything about community development begins with a challenge. What is the challenge? Just like you want to write a research, what is your problem statement? What problem are you trying to solve, or what new idea are you trying to bring in, and all this? What gap exactly are you trying to fill in? I'm sure you all know the 6 research gaps that we fill in. Now, the next one is the members of the community will have to decide for themselves whether to act or not to tackle the problem, even if the initial impetus to act comes from an outside agency. So irrespective of you being the facilitator or bringing the funding for this process, you need to recognize there's what we call the human rights-based approach to recognize that communities also have a say in their development process. So, so what can happen now? We talk about the developing confidence, when communities have started developing confidence in their processes, what are the options? What are the results we see? What are the results we see when communities start, developing confidence in their process? One of the results we see is that one, they're sensitizing the people to know that there's a social problem, sensitizing them to, to know that change through resolving the social problem is possible, sensitizing the people to realize the importance of executing the project, referring to previous, successful execution on previous programs upon which the success of the present and future ones can be predicated, then making a preliminary demonstration of its workability. So this has become necessary because previous failures of programs of development have engendered a high level of cynicism among people whose conditions development programs and design need to address. You go to a community that you have visited before and they'll tell you have come again. Okay, so for those who are not Nigerians, they'll tell you now them, now them means, okay, good, the same people, you've come again to, destabilize us, you've come again to tell us promises you will never fulfill. And that lack of confidence becomes a challenge for a lot of people. So, and that is one of the things that we try to address through this process of, cross-sector partnership. So, in the process of achieving this study purpose, the following measures or steps were considered. A lot of them needed to have been considered, and we considered those measures and steps. One of those measures and steps we considered is specifying the people that will monitor the project and how it is going to be carried out. There's what we now call the current trend, which is the community-led monitoring and evaluation process. And you see that we put in place for a project to be sustained, the communities need to be part of the project from beginning up to the point of exit and launch. So how much that shall be paid to those who will be doing this project is key. Certain percentage of the fund realized from this community contribution becomes key because that is part of the community's ownership strategy. Then funds realized from windfall, such as the compensation, also where does it go to, what will it be used for? The beneficiaries must be involved. The beneficiaries, I keep repeating, in the course of this research, we discovered that a success story factor came in from beneficiaries being involved in initiating, in planning, in implementing, in monitoring, and in evaluation of the project. So all this helped us to, and then continuous interaction also helped the process. So as we go towards ending, the results of this project observed that alternative strategies for the creative and peaceful management of projects carried out by cross-sector partners for the purpose of enhancing the development of the communities is the inclusion of implementation that is participatory, monitoring process of the project from plan to finish, strategic management, income from various sources, meeting with various stakeholders, effective communication, training at different levels, impact on conflict resolution, planning, and other alternative strategies. All this helps to make a project successful in many, many ways. And then that is part of the reason why at the end of the research, we discovered that building on these alternatives will help projects to succeed in a lot of ways. So in summary, the purpose of the study was to examine the alternative strategies for the creative and peaceful management of projects on the development of the communities in Rivers State. And we will conclude by saying that, yes, in the development process, it becomes key to explore alternatives to ensuring that communities are carried along and projects are sustained with a clear understanding that their priorities were identified. Once you are able to identify, you are all on this call. Your faces are as different as your needs. We don't all have the same kind of need. Some have emotional needs, some have mental health needs, some have psychological needs, some have physical needs. So you can't come in as a donor and decide to give each and every one of us the same package. Everybody needs to be addressed according to their priority needs, or if you use snowballing or whatever strategies where they're similar in content and need, that's a different thing. But at this point, we recognize through this research that meeting the communities at the point of their priority needs in a lot of ways has helped to sustain the process and projects. So my recommendation, one of the key recommendations I want to drop here is that various tools were explored to provide alternatives to sustainable community development, and all focused on participation as a key underlying tool that needs to be explored. When you carry the people along, you teach them to fish, you definitely will have people who can fish not only for themselves, for their communities at large. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very, very much for listening.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Meena. Congratulations. Congratulations for your presentation. Can stop sharing and can go with, we'll move on to other presentation.
Okay, so you tell me when to do the next one.
Can close this.
I've closed it. Is it still showing, please?
Now it's fine. You can continue with the next presentation.
Okay, sir. All right. So my
Building
ladies and
working relationships, right?
yes, sir. Okay. My next presentation, I'm trying to share it. My next presentation is on building working. I'm just hoping that everybody can see the slide. I don't know. Can they see the slide, sir?
Yeah, you can make it full screen. It is very small.
Okay. All right. Okay, but you can see the slide, right?
Yes, now.
Okay. All right, so good. So building the topic for this presentation is on building working relationships and peaceful coexistence in selected communities in Rivers State. So we have enhancers and disruptors, a case study of Rivers State, Nigeria. I am Dr. Mina Ogbanga, and I'm an associate professor of social work, and I feel completely glad to be here. I'm particularly excited because we have a lot of Nigerian students who have also joined us. We have doctoral students here, and I feel honored that they were able to spare time to be here. I want to thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity to participate, and I'm hoping that, like I keep saying all the time, we all go back even better than we came in, and we're able to apply the lessons we've learned from this conference to our different developmental activities. So my presentation today is a part of this series, Community Development Series Research, that was carried out to identify cross-sector partnership and the different components, its impact in our society. So specifically for this one, I'll be working on building working relationships and peaceful coexistence in selected communities in Rivers State. We're talking about enhancers and disruptors, a case study of Rivers State in Nigeria. So as much as you can manage, let's hope that you can see the screen. Let me, so we can work with what we have. So what is the core outline we're going to be looking at? We have the introduction, basically the abstract. We look at the objectives, we look at findings, and we look at summary, we look at conclusions, and we look at recommendation. If you're on this call and you're a social worker, then you have certain certain intents, behind your mind. And one of them is either to support communities at the micro level, to support community at the macro level, or to support community at the meso level. Whatever level you want to support community in, community development issues are a core part of social work existence. And with learnings like this, we're able to enhance our activities and delivery at the local level. So having seen the outline, I will have to go through reading for you the abstract. This research was designed to examine the impacts of building working relationships and enhancing peaceful coexistence in selected communities in Rivers State. And in all, we worked in 3 targeted local governments, Eche local governments, Kukuturu local government, and Oyibo. For those who are not yet familiar with these places, we look forward to hosting you in Nigeria, especially in Rivers State, so that you can see these communities and how they have evolved from where they were to where they are now. Now, simple percentages, analysis of variance, and the mean scores were used to analyze the socioeconomic characteristics of these respondents. It was evident that in comparison to what existed in the target communities earlier, the participatory and negotiation mechanisms used in cross-sector partnerships indeed enabled communities to become more involved, thereby making project activities more relevant to community development needs, and the benefits were sustainable. A workable sustainability plan should be put in place to ensure that there is continuity and successful implementation of community development programs. This is something we need to know. If you're a community development practitioner, you have chosen that as your area of specialization, you need to always think the end before you talk about even how you start. And the end is, how are your projects going to be sustainable? How are your projects going to be impactful? All these are the kind of things you look out for. And one of the ways of achieving that is building good working relationships with the community, with you as facilitator. At any point you need me to make a reference or respond to any questions, please feel free. With permission from Dr. Ravindra, we can we can take on any question. But if not urgent, then at the end, I'll be so glad to answer any questions. So in introduction, the participation of the citizens in community development project, it can be traced as far back as Plato's Republic. Plato's concepts, if you remember, of freedom of speech, assembly, voting, equal representation, and citizens' participation in community development have evolved through the years to form basic pillars upon which the contemporary states were established. So it is assumed that the participation of the rural dwellers is a necessary part of community development activities. Even now, we talk about donors who insist that there must be a community-led aspect, component of any project, because you see that community, who are the key beneficiaries or key population, if they are not carried along, then how do you identify their needs and how do you meet those needs? So what was the key objective? The objective of this particular study was to identify potential partners in building working relationships and enhancing peaceful coexistence in the study communities. Okay, now it is anticipated actually that the project will help governments and other organizations in formulating policies that could bring about sustainable development in the communities. So we just finished an election in Nigeria. Ideally, if you have the priorities of the communities in your manifesto, you see that implementation will not be a problem, but how many did? And yet they're going to go into implementing projects. And if these projects don't meet the needs of the communities, it becomes a continuous wheel of poverty and challenges for target communities. So that was the main objective. So how do you prevent partnership collapse? Few partnerships have collapsed largely because the gulf between the innovative aspirations, of the partners and the move of traditional requirements of the donors, which were simply too big to bridge the partnerships, were the challenge. And these are likely to have sound operating basis. For example, you cannot, where a project is designed to be temporary and have their resources secured in advance for the duration of the program of work, it can be a challenge. You understand? You design a project to be temporary, and when that is done, it does not have the end in mind. And you see that in other ways, some projects have multiple resource arrangements in place, so they are less dependent on a single source. That is one of the angles people now take on. Then you see in another area, you have external donors who accept the trial and error nature of many partnerships, medium to long term. And then the last but not the least here are designed to be income generating in the medium to long term. So how the partnership, collapse, because some of these expectations you have. So you assume a donor is coming and you're assuming that donor will be there with you for life. It's not possible for a donor to be there with you in perpetuity. They have a time to start. That is why it's called a project. They start and there's a time to end. So if you're a community development practitioners, you must know that projects have timelines. So partnership collapse is based on some of these issues, this assumption that you get when you go into partnership. So as experts, it's our duty to facilitate a comprehensive process that will ensure that those assumptions are nullified early enough before the partnership, and roles and responsibilities are clear. Now, Tennyson 23 added that partnership must be functional, they must be effective, and they must be sustainable. And how so? When, one, they are highly task focused. The product of the partnership must be tangible, and then the partnership meets the expectations pre-agreed by the partners. You have an agreement as a partner. The important thing is agreement, as we say in Nigeria. You must do your own part and I will do my own part. So therefore, a successful partnership can have many outputs and outcomes, but those intended at the outset and those that are unexpected could come in and will be easily managed. So what are the advantages of institutionalizing partnership? What are the advantages? Why should we think about institutionalizing partnership? One of the, I'll quickly run through it because of time. I want to be sure one of the advantages is more stability and security of investment. No donor wants to come and give 5 billion to a state and discover that it is mismanaged and it does not have the desired impact. So more stability and security of investment is key. It's one of the advantages of institutionalizing those partnerships. Less dependency of individuals. So you're working on structures. You know, what is community contribution? What is donor contribution? What is government contribution? There are more conventional administrative and management systems in place, you know, because there's a system. Like I used to tell my students in the class where we are teaching on, some of the courses where social welfare and social work administration, it talks about management, organizational systems, you know, more conventional administrative and management systems, a key part of social welfare administration. So more access to conventional resources, more checks and balances, and greater accountability built into the working relationship, ability to source for more capable sponsors, building cordial relationships that enhances the actualization of the project. People go to where they are seeing clear opportunities for investment, and people go to where their investment to be secured. And so that is the importance of institutionalizing, and it goes down to appropriate governance system. If you don't have a transparent system, a working governance system, it does not help for partnership. So, but there are some disadvantages that may be in existence. So what are those disadvantages? We have a disadvantage like, we're talking about increased bureaucratic bottleneck. Yes, for anything that partnerships are involved in, there may be some level of bureaucracy. You know, we're talking about the difference between private and public administration. There's some level of bureaucracy. There's more risk-taking, there are more flexibility and freedom of operation, and there's some failures due to misunderstanding. That is why everybody's role needs to be clear from the outset. Okay, so let's see the next slide. So what are the 3 forms of institutionalizing the partnership? What are the 3 forms? One, you have the institutional engagement, you have the institutional building, and you have the institutional reform. Engagement is the beginning of the process. Building is like team building, storming, norming, and then institutional reform is what are those changes that are likely to take place in the course of your, partnership. So these are some things that we are looking at. So the theoretical framework, this project has research had a theoretical framework, and we told you it was a system theory, and I may not need to repeat it because the concept of social system applies to any social unit in the society, and it is like, a biological organization with interrelated parts. So if you all remember the systems theory, that is the theoretical framework that we utilized for this project. So what was the key result, from this process? The key result was the fact that Table 1, for example, showed that potential partners in building working relationships in sustainable community development in the study area, that was one thing it showed. The result shows that there are some significant differences in the working relationship of potential partners. The result agrees with the view of rural community network that these development agencies such as UNDP, USAID, RSSDA, Chevron, EUSPDC, and VSO have a level of partnership across the target community, and their presence have helped communities to develop, and many other results that we discovered from the project. So in conclusion, sustainable community development has found it very difficult to have achieved the desired goals and objectives over the years in Nigeria. This is because the community development at those times was carried out by the community alone and the government reluctantly supporting them, but not through a strong partnership. So this study confirmed the multi-party or multi-stakeholder partnership, that it enhanced greater participation and improvement in the quality of lives of people. The end in mind for any social worker is the quality of life of the people you want to impact on. So what do I want to drop in as one of my recommendations? Based on the findings of this study, one of the recommendations is that the results clearly show that the growing importance of gender mainstreaming across various projects and programs is key. There was increase in the number of women's participation as respondents and partners, and it is envisaged that with effective women's participation, projects could also equally be better sustained. It was surprising outcome from the research that women's participation enhanced project sustainability. Ladies and gentlemen, like I always say, this has been a very, very important 10 days for me, and I want to thank you all for listening. Thank you so much. Hello.
Yeah, congratulations. We can close this. Participants, if you have any queries, you can feel free to share. If you have any observations.
Okay, so while they're putting together the observations, like you said, I will take on the last but not the least, the last but not the least, what will I call it, presentation. And this is the last for the session for me. And I'm thankful that I've been able to get to this level. And what will we be looking at this last time? Again, my name is Dr. Mina Obanga, and I'm an associate professor of social work with macro social work as my very core interest. And it feels very, very good to be here today. It feels very, very inspiring to be here to hear from others who have done so much great work and also contribute to this conference. I want to thank the organizers. This is fantastic 10 days well spent. I must say it's 10 days well spent. I look forward to seeing my certificates and seeing what other people presented whom I was not able to watch. So I want to thank everybody for being here on this call. Greetings to each and every one here, and especially the organizers who brought us all together. My last topic for today is dealing with examining the factors affecting cross-sector partnership in sustainable development. So we're going to be looking at the factors. What are the factors that affect cross-sector partnership? In Nigeria, what are those factors we are going to be looking at? And I crave your indulgence. So this paper, like we said, was presented at the 10 Days International Conference. And for those who are coming in, it has been a very important 10 days for many people. It's going to be adding a lot to scholarship. So a simple outline, we're going to be looking at the introduction, the abstract objective. Of course, we'll not leave out the recommendations, we'll not leave out the summaries and all those things that go with it, And remember, the idea here is facilitating issues, looking at those factors. We're looking at the factors that affect sustainable community development and cross-sector partnership. So I want to encourage everyone to share their views as we proceed. Now, for the abstract, a core part of what we're looking at in the abstract, I want to be sure everybody's seeing my screen. Cross-sector partnership can only work effectively, when all the partners are aware of their roles, responsibilities, and terms of agreement. You have a team, it could be a research team, and everybody works arbitrarily without knowing who is to do what, who is even the team lead, who is the principal investigator. And without those basic knowledge, how do you go about carrying out any form of research? There will definitely be well-loaded conflicts in that kind of relationship. So cross-sector partnership, like we said, can only work effectively when all these parties involved in that specific cross-sector partnerships are aware of their roles, their responsibilities, and terms of agreement. This implies that the roles and their responsibility must be clearly defined. Clear definition, even in organizational management and administration, is key. Clear definition of anything and explain to avoid conflict of interest and misunderstanding that could scuttle the success of the program. So besides the above, all the partners must know what to do at one stage or the other. This means that there must be adequate mobilization and sensitization of the people at the grassroots on developmental projects and programs. The training should expose them to or focus on their present predicament, their experiences in the past, and what they wish to be in the future. So the present paper, this paper we're talking about is on probing these factors affecting cross-sector partnership in community development. If you want a project to be sustained, you need to put in mind the fact that what are the factors that could make it not succeed in the first place. You need to look at all those factors. So those are the kind of things we're looking at today. So what is the core in the introduction? The development of cross-sector partnership, it continues to accelerate as a strategy for improving the systems of health and other related areas of the Sustainable Development Goals. If you're in this conference, I'm sure you're more than familiar with the Sustainable Development Goals. Every social worker must have the Sustainable Development Goals at their fingertips, narrowing it down to their areas of expertise and their areas of interest. Now, early results show from this research that when, for example, medical and non-medical sectors integrate effectively, paying attention to the entire spectrum of health needs for their communities, they can diminish or even minimize gaps that exist in the current delivery system. You understand? So you cannot come and say, because you're a medical doctor, you can address that different aspects of medicine. There's an administrative part. You cannot run a hospital without having a proper administrative part of it. So medical and non-medical integration must take place at some point or the other. And this was in reference to the communities we visited that had health projects as one of their projects. Now, however, there's a fundamental truth, about cross-sector partnership. There's no one-size-fits-all model for partnership. I keep emphasizing that in my, my principles. I keep telling myself and everybody else, there's no one-size-fits-all for partnership, since each partnership must be designed purposefully to address a unique set of issues. And it can also be designed to address complexities within the community. There's no universal playbook for partnership design. You must address it in line with the community. That's why you cannot go to a community without understanding and carrying out a needs assessment or an asset-based, community development process ABCD. So you must all remember that ABCD is necessary for you to understand your communities better. So what's the key objective here? To examine the factors. What are those factors that can affect cross-sector partnership? What are the factors that can affect your relationship with somebody else? What are the factors that can affect your work at your workplace? What are the factors that can affect your relationship with your target beneficiaries? So today we're looking at the factors that can affect cross-sector partnerships in community development. Okay, so the significance of this study, the research will open up certain areas that will enable other researchers and studies on community participation in cross-sector partnership. It's a scholarship that is growing, and it has now evolved to the extent that people are working on policies that promote partnership. And that is very, very, very good. So a key significance is at the end of the day, this research will be able to tell people, man, no man is an island. You can't walk alone. You are in sustainable community development phase of life. You cannot do things on your own. So cross-sector partnership initiatives in community development is a core part of this process. I would say the cross-sector partnership initiative, is a formal partnership. It's a formal partnership of certain developmental organizations and the communities working together to bring about, okay, I want to close this pool. Okay, to bring about development of the communities and the individual. Now, according to Obuike, say development decisions are made collectively by the partner organizations and the community. No donor will come and make the decisions for you. He emphasized more that sustainability of any project can only be achieved when the people of the community are involved in decision making and the choice of projects that could be established. So it is a case of knowing that yes, communities may not be the ones bringing the money for the project, but they have a say. And once you recognize they have a say, you see that communities will manage that project even when you are gone. So Laurie Peterson itemized the 4 factors for successful cross-sector collaboration. This is very key to any student, principal, faculty. The 4 factors for successful collaboration at every time. These are the 4 immediate and many others. One of the 4 factors that consider the internal motivations. The question of what is in it for me is asked in different ways. You must understand how you bring that into to the table, to the discussion table. Consider the internal motivations that lead to cross-sector partnership as a strategy, and commit first to preparing your own organization to be a capable cross-sector partner. And then the second one is no organization can solve every need. So community needs to partner as the foundation for real transformation. That is a second factor for successful cross-sector collaboration. Now, the third one is to co-design the partnership. Carefully consider the needs and challenges of your target community. Carefully is the word here. It helps you to expand your view. It helps you to reveal the inner workings of our communities. When there are things to be done. Now, which we are looking at, the fourth one here is mechanisms for monitoring, evaluating, and evolving the partnership to ensure long-term sustainability. That is another key aspect, a key factor. So what do we have as quick results? Some of the results reflected some significant differences in the factors affecting cross-sector partnerships. So it was observed that something like a difficult terrain was one of the factors affecting cross-sector partnerships in the study. So you see one of the communities we went to a very, very beautiful hospital was built. But the donor that built that hospital did not take into cognizance the fact that the hospital was located in a remote area far from the community, number one. He said that was where they gave him land, but he did not take into cognizance several factors. So one, the hospital was located very far. Two, there was no access road to that community that was supposed to benefit from that health center. Three, you discover that many people in the community, most of them were not part of the construction, not even as labor hands. Now tell me how it will affect access to healthcare services. I will leave that for another day. It's a discussion I always like to have, but I'll leave that for another day for you to please write your notes and tell me, how will these three factors affect, access to healthcare services and community system strengthening in any way? So we look at that. It was observed that, difficult terrain was one of the factors affecting cross-sector partnerships in the study areas, and which are riverine, of course, in mind. So then it followed by conflicts or restiveness issues, a lot of conflicts in those areas, inadequate skilled and professional personnel, and then poor understanding of the partnerships. All these factors were challenges to cross-sector partnerships in community development, and the findings in agreement with the reports of the Rural Development Council said that these factors have negative impact on community development. So in summary, before I wrap up, the objective of the study was to probe the factors affecting the cross-sector partnership in community development in Rivers State. So we realized that various factors can affect community development, various factors can affect your different initiatives. And these factors, if not taken care of, will either make or mar your projects. Ladies and gentlemen, my dear hosts, students, faculty, professors, and everyone on this call, I want to conclude by saying that there's a great improvement in community development when cross-sector partnerships are formed for the purpose of enhancing community development, and when compared to what was in place when there was no partnership. So all partners delivered specific resources, specific resources needed for the functioning of the partnership. A lot of people think communities have no role to play in community development. How so? How so? You want to build a hospital, the community are the ones who provide you the land as their community contribution. You want to carry out these activities, they can provide you with local labor. You want to carry out the activities, they can tell you how their projects would be preferred to be done, looking at the indigenous strategies. So you see a couple, families live in their houses, and they came to ask them, where do we want us to place water? We want to build a tank right in front of the community. And the community people say, no way, we prefer going to the stream. You ask me, why would they prefer going to the stream when they can easily get a borehole placed at the center of the community and everybody can easily fetch from that borehole? No one asked this question, and the borehole was built, and no one used that borehole. People found themselves still going to the river to fetch. And after a year of non-functionality of the borehole, maybe few people will use it here and there, and then someone asks, why is it that you people prefer stressing yourself to go to the river, how many kilometers away, rather than going 2 minutes or 3 or 4 or 5 to fetch in the center of town? And somebody randomly just said, well, going to the river afforded us an opportunity to dialogue with each other, to converse, to discuss, to make friends, to meet new people, to build relationships. And now you come in and you just suddenly put a borehole in the middle of the city, no time to communicate anymore. That distance has been wiped off, and you see that social capital has reduced drastically. At that time, the borehole was there. It was already too late. We can't tell if that was a good thing or a bad thing at this point, but then it shows a lot in terms of the say community can have in the process of community development. So in similar way, both human and material resources are often put together for project planning, implementation, and monitoring. And I want to go, before I conclude, to say some of the recommendations, therefore, are that there's a growing development intervention covering several projects, and there's need to have a proper foundation for the identification of priority projects and programs for the communities so as to meet them at the point of their needs. Now, final recommendation is the fact that the results from the research expressly highlighted several factors that affect or militate against cross-sector partnership. It is thus a key that strategies be put in place to address these factors, especially the issue of conflict or terrain, inadequate funding, or poor understanding of the partnership itself, or inadequate skills. When those factors are put into consideration and addressed from bottom up and worked on from top bottom, we meet midway, you will see that community projects will not only be sustained, but they will also enhance the livelihood of more people for generations to come. So posterity can smile on us. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for this opportunity.
Congratulations, Dr. Meena. So if anyone of the participants have any queries, you can quickly raise your hand or share in chat box or unmute yourself and ask your queries. Okay, if there are no queries, then we'll quickly move on to our next presentation. Congratulations, Dr. Meena.
Do we fill the pool or we'll leave the pool?
No, you have to fill the form. I will be sharing now. And
okay, Mary.
Stay connected. All
Mary.
Yeah, we are running short of time. We'll take it later. Next, we have request everyone to quickly fill up the feedback form. We have valedictory session starting from 6:30. So we request everyone to be quick. We request everyone to fill up the feedback form for session 2, 3, and 4. For 3 sessions, there will be only one feedback form. Then we will move on to our next speaker. So we will take it up. Any queries afterward? We request everyone to stay back till the end of the conference, because the feedback form for the 10 days conference will be shared only in the conference at the end of the valedictory sessions. So we request everyone, whoever is joining, to stay back till we share the feedback form. And next we have with us Neha. Yeah, there is a poll active, ma. Be patient. Why you are so hurried? 10 days, what you are doing when you were scheduled and given opportunity? No, we are professionals. We have to be calm until we are invited. We are not small kids now. Till 10 days, presentations were going on, and your presentation has been scheduled for 2 times. And now in the last moment, you are coming and hurrying up. This is not expected from a faculty, at least. Okay, you will be made co-host. Do not end the poll. Our friends are submitting the poll. You can minimize that. You can unmute yourself, start your video and presentation by introducing yourself. And other presenters willing to present, quickly share your details in the chat box so that we can invite you as per the order. Other presenters also have shared their details. We'll be inviting one by one. Kindly be patient. You have to start your video, ma.
Sir, I'm trying, but it is not happening. I think, can you see me? Can
Yeah, you have to adjust your camera.
Is it okay, sir?
Yes, ma'am. Please continue and be quick.
Good evening to all the dignitaries of the conference. Dr. Arvindra sir allowed me on the last moment and on the last day of this conference. Firstly, I would like to apologize for not being available on the 2-time schedule as it was an emergency. So I was not available on those days. I tried my hard to be there, but I could not. I'm so sorry for that. And again saying thank you as you allowed me on the last day of this very important conference on sustainable development goals for social work professionals. Thank you, sir, once again. Good evening to all the ladies and gentlemen present in the conference, and to listen to. I have listened to many of the presentation in the from the starting of the conference today. It was really wonderful to hear all the faculties or maybe all the resource people. Now I would like to present my paper on a study on male abuse. And the topic itself talks about that it is very rare study done on the male abuse, and it is very difficult to understand that yes, is there a male abuse going on in the society, but yes, there are male abuse also. We all the time keep on thinking about that only women are the vulnerable and they are only sufferers, but it is not like that. Even males are also having equal good percentage that they are also being abused by women. So here my the entire study is on secondary based data which I have taken from many of the articles here on internet. So I would just go quickly to my article so that you can the other participant can also be a part of this conference. Thank you, sir. So the abstract of the topic is domestic violence against men is a process that has received little attention. The literary study on domestic violence in both international local literature and even within the scholarly literature and the both popular media are biased against men, only directed towards women and children. These non-fictional prose discuss the various sources of prevalence of domestic violence against men. The dominant theoretical explanation for intimate partner violence in general and its implication for women perpetrators and men as victims in the resonance of social work professions, as well as the contemporary evidence of the consequences of domestic violence against men convey into social work practice. Domestic violence is always discussed in relation to women. Man is always considered as a preparators. However, because of these socioeconomic changes affecting family structure in recent times, domestic violence is not limited to women only. Men are also abused. I am trying to move my cursor, but
Ms. Neha, you have to complete by 6:25 exactly.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm just completing. The article attempts to explore the extent of this problem and highlights its cause and effect. There is a need for gender neutral laws for domestic violence, and domestic violence should be considered as a spousal violence. I would just brief the my introduction. Domestic violence against men is a phenomenon that is the least popular in the forefront in public life. The literature on domestic violence in both international, local literature, and even within the scholarly literature and other popular media is biased against men and only directed towards the women. The article discussed the various sources of prevalence of domestic violence against men, dominant theoretical explanation of IPV in general, and implications for women perpetrators. I will go on the prevalence. Scarce research data on domestic violence against men are available in scientific literature. However, according to the recent study, 51.5 males experience violence at the hands of their wife's intimate partner at least once in their lifetime, and 10.5% of at least 12 months, according to the National Family Health Survey 2004. This violence is not always inflicted by female partner wife, but many a times a male relative of a wife attacks or threatens the men. Physical violence and threats against men by wife's relatives are taken into account, and estimated crore men are facing domestic violence in India. In a study conducted by a nation along with the Safe Family Foundation Delhi on domestic violence against men between 2005 and 2006, 1,650 men were interviewed and their personal cases looked into. The study concluded that Indian women were most abusive and dominating. From overall India, 98% of the respondents had suffered domestic violence more than once in their lives. The study observed Indian husbands were various socio-economic strata, but the bulk of the respondent, according to the researcher, came from the upper middle class and the middle class families. Natada et al. Found much higher physical violence, 35% and 26.9 respectively, against women. This reflecting Indian women are much less physically aggressive than Indian men. Gender symmetry does not exist in India from physical violence. I would go on the only 2 minutes are left. In a study of 1,000 married men among the various, I would not go on this because I have only left with the conclusion 2 minutes. So I will conclude my paper. Mm, In a recent time, due to modernization and westernization, societal values, cultural norms have changed a lot. Earlier, men were seen as protectors of their family, but nowadays, both men and women are equally working, raising, and managing their homes with equal contribution to their incomes. Men have now opened up about the domestic violence that they have faced, and now they have started sharing their pain, agony, and their struggles openly. Men are no longer stronger than women. It's a high time that the statue and laws too should recognize their problem as social problems or issue. Domestic violence against men can recognize with effective changes in the laws by creating awareness and by breaking stereotypes and preconceived notions. Thank you. If I would have given more time, then I would have said number of review of literature which talks about that more men are also a sufferer. Thank you, sir.
This is very good presentation, Ma. If you can just wait. Maybe after we have three speakers, three chief guests invited. Okay. They will be starting. We will be exactly starting at 6:30.
Okay, sir.
And, till 8 o'clock, we will be having 3 sessions by invited guests. After that, we will resume the sessions.
Yes, sir.
So you can join back and you can continue presentations. Now we will break everything.
Yes,
all
sir.
The sessions for the valedictory, and we have to invite our chief guest.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
So all the presenters who are waiting for their presentations, kindly share your details. Yeah. All the presenters, Krishna Rao Garu, welcome.
Thank
Namaste.
you, sir. Thank you. I hope.
I will officially invite you, sir, in just next 2 minutes.
Okay, okay.
Thank you, sir. So participants will break for the valedictory sessions. Now we have our chief guest joined for the day, and we will resume after 8 o'clock. So for the time being, I'm restarting the recording and live. So I will be muting everyone. You can stay connected. And I will unmute you, everyone.
Hello. Please unmute me. I need to say something.